Hi everybody, it's Patty, Rockstar Mom. Welcome back to my channel. I was tagged recently from Susan, a little poet, to do the parent tag. And I thought this was such a neat tag that I would do it. So let's just start. It's only 6 questions, so hopefully this will be fairly short. Let's start with the first question. The first question is, how many children do you have? It'd be a little bit longer and more involved than what it would appear, because you hear me talk about my daughter all the time. But unless you watched one of my very first videos, maybe the second video I ever did to sort of introduce myself to you guys, I did the 50 things about me, or the 50 facts about me. I'll go back and link that video below in case you are a new subscriber and you have not seen that. When my first husband and I married, and I was an old maid when I got married the first time. I was a flight attendant. Back then we were stewardesses for a major airline. I was traveling all over the world. I met this man. We decided to get married, but one of the things we talked about and we were very firm about was that we did not want children. So we both agreed to it. We got married. We're having a ball. We're having the time of our lives. Being just single and footloose and fancy-free and on the go. I was 26 when I married, so it was just at a great time in my life. My parents had no grandchildren, and they wanted a grandchild. And by then, after 3 or 4 years of being married, 3 years actually, the pressure from my parents, his parents could have cared less, but the pressure from my parents for a grandchild, and all of our friends were having children. So we decided we would get pregnant and have one. I was so fortunate to marry a man who had 2 wonderful sons, very successful sons, and sons who have accepted me. And one of them has 2 wonderful children that I am just lovingly referred to as Patty. And I think one of the happiest days of my life was about a month ago when the 17-year-old sent me a text, and she asked me if it was okay with me if she listed me as her grandmother on her Facebook page. When I read it, I just sat there with tears strolling down my face, and my husband said, "What's wrong with you? Are you okay?" And I told him, and he just had a big grin on his face. So their biological grandmother died obviously before I met their grandfather. So I've known them now for almost 5 years, and I couldn't love them anymore if they weren't my own grandchildren. I adore both of them. And then I have to say that I have Miss Bagel. And Bagel is my fur baby, and I know many of you know Bagel. Say hi. Hello. Hello. Mom woke me from a nap. Well, let's just go on to question number 2. Did you have your children at the right time? Absolutely. Absolutely. For, I think, reasons that are obvious. I think had I not gotten pregnant that first time on purpose, that I would have never gotten pregnant. And I think that had I not gotten pregnant after my first little girl died, I would have not. If I'd waited any longer, I wouldn't have gotten pregnant again. So very definitely at the right time. Do you live with their father? No. Her father and I divorced when she was 3. Or we separated when she was 3, actually divorced when she was 4. And I did not remarry until almost, almost 5 years ago. I misspoke earlier because we'll be married 5 years in May, and we met the year before, so I've known him almost 6 years. Or I've known him 5.5 years. What are their favorite traits that you love? I think part of being a mother is that we love our children regardless. I don't know how you could give birth or how you could adopt a child and fall so deeply in love with them. And even though we know they have flaws, we still love them. I think, and I know of people who have had to give their children up because of bad behavior. They had to separate from their children so that their children could get better. I'm so fortunate that I've not ever had that. Oh, trust me, I had those teen years that at times were unbearable. I could write a book. But she turned out wonderful. My channel name, quite obviously, is a play on her, Rockstar Mom. In the beginning, I had a lot of you ask about that. Who is your daughter? And occasionally a new viewer will ask, okay, who is your daughter or your child? And I'm telling you, she would shoot me. She would fuss at me if I told you who she was. She has been in front of the camera, but she is not in front of the camera now. Even in high school, her nickname was Rockstar. She is in the entertainment industry. I will tell you that. She was in high school. She had her driver's license. And all of a sudden one afternoon, here she comes in with 2 or 3 of her girlfriends. They had been out. She was driving. And one of the little girls said, oh, they all called me Mom. Oh, Mom, you're not going to believe what Jennifer did. And I said, well, what? And she said, well, you're going to get on to her. And I said, well, what did she do? And she said, well, we were stopped at a red light, and there was this guy with a sign that he needed money. And she said, Jennifer just rolled down the window and gave him $5. And I said, well, okay. And Jennifer chimed in and she said, well, Mom, I told him that that could be Jesus. That could be Jesus. Do you think Jesus would come back if he came back again in a three-piece Wall Street suit? I don't. I think he would probably be on that corner begging for money or asking for money. And that's another video entirely. But Jennifer is a giver. Of everything that she does and all of her successes, I'm most proud of the fact that she's a giver. She's a good girl. She's a good girl. Okay, number 5. If you hit the lottery, what would you buy them? Well, that's easy because I've always said this from day one, and this would be true now that I'm married with my husband's sons. If I hit the lottery and it was millions, the very first thing I would do is I would give each of them at least $1 million, depending on the size of the lottery. They would get at each $1 million so that they could enjoy it now. And then anything that was left, we would live on, and when we die, it would go to two of my 2 favorite nonprofits anonymously. It would go anonymously because I have real strong feelings about that. I'm going to do a video on giving. Number 6, how do you want them to remember you? If all Jennifer or Jim's children and grandchildren, if all they ever did when they thought about me was smile, I'd be happy. This is a fun tag because it really causes you to stop and think. Sometimes I think that some people many years ago was engaged to a man. Obviously, I did not marry him. And there were many reasons why I didn't marry him. One of which was how he talked about his 2 sons. And finally, I told him one day, as their father, you should be their biggest cheerleader. Even if they do things that are disappointing to you, you need to find things to cheer them on about. Rather than putting them down, cheer them on. I have some friends who have children and they never talk about them. They rarely brag about them. I have some other friends who talk about their children a lot. I'm one of those. I'm always sharing with my friends and family our children's successes. Because I believe I'm their biggest cheerleader. If I can't show them respect and brag on them and be excited about what they're doing with their lives, how can I expect anyone else to be? If you have children, even fur babies, and you'd like to do this tag, I'm tagging you. And I look forward to watching it. Let me know if you do it. Have a great day. Know that I love you, and I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.